Today on Running to Him.
Nadab and Abihu broke the rules God laid out for worship. While we have no rules in the New Testament, we must be careful not to break the principles. We will read through the Pentateuch until January, and today we read Leviticus chapters 10 and 11, and we'll concentrate on verses 1 through 3 of chapter 10. Now, Nadab and Abihu were the sons of Aaron, and they took their respective firepans, and they, after putting fire in them, placed incense on it and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And the fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "It's what the Lord spoke, saying, 'By those who come near me, I will be treated as holy, and before all the people I will be honored.'" So Aaron, therefore, kept silent. Now Moses places this story of Nadab and Abihu right after the institution of worship at the Tabernacle. We must understand that God expects certain types of worship for the Jews and for us. This truth becomes increasingly crucial as modern worship goes further and further from its original intent. To be fair, there is no prescribed worship in the New Testament. That could be for one of two reasons. First, the first places of worship for Christians were in Jewish synagogues. Therefore, it might be natural to assume that Christian worship would somehow model Jewish worship in the synagogue. The second reason that God left out a particular form of worship in the New Testament is that he knew that Christianity would spread throughout the world, and that cultures might define precisely how their form of worship might be. But there are problems with both scenarios. If we assume that the New Testament worship should be designed around a Jewish synagogue style, we will get the type of worship found in the Eastern Orthodox churches, the Catholic Church or Episcopalian, and other liturgical churches that model some kind of aspects of the Eastern churches. But they all differentiate from some of the elements found in those Eastern churches. For example, the way the Eucharist, which is the Lord's Supper or communion in Protestant circles, is prepared and presented to the church is different in Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy. Protestant churches are even further removed from what initially took place. Eastern Orthodox worship is the closest type of worship that we have from the New Testament. If we assume that God did not want to have one particular style of worship because people's cultures are different, we will have to move to the Protestant model of church worship. The problem with this model is that there's no control over what happens in the worship service. Now, I sometimes preach at a Presbyterian church, and as a Baptist, there are some significant differences between the way they worship and the way the churches I typically attend worship. But God in the Old Testament outlined a specific way to worship him, and Nadab and Abihu broke the rules. It not only costs them their lives, but it also causes Aaron to be unable to mourn his son's loss. We must be careful how we worship. We must not let culture design what is proper and improper. We must look to the scriptures to determine whether or not we are doing what is consistent with how we live according to the scriptures.
Thank you for listening. We pray that today's devotion was meaningful to you. We would love to hear from you. You can use either Facebook or YouTube to like, subscribe, share, and tell others about us. If you would like to contact us, you can reach me at phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.